Victor Wembenyama is about to genuinely break the NBA. He's going to be a top 10 player in the league on both sides of the ball next year. Probably the best defender in the league. He's a shoo-in to win DPOY for the next 10 years or so. And his offensive game is taking strides at a rapid rate. And if you watch this channel a lot, you know we've been talking about it all summer long, but I am really excited for year 3 of Victor Wembenyama. I think this is about to see a leap that we haven't seen in quite some time. He's 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan, and people forget how slowly he started off the year last year. Remember, there were legit conversations about if he was better than Chet Holmgren or not, but he finished out strong, averaged 24 a game with 11 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1 steal, and 3.8 blocks, while shooting 48% from the field and 35% from 3 on about 8 attempts per game. Then, of course, he got the injury and wasn't able to continue playing, but, I mean, he looked so good through the first 50 or so games of the year. Even had a 50 ball versus Washington with 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 assists to go with that, being in the pick and pop with Chris Paul. Now, they don't have a Chris Paul, who I think really helped his development this year, but they still have a 3-headed guard monster, which will be just fine. And then, of course, his welcome to the NBA moment, his kind of announcement that I'm here on Christmas Day with everybody watching. He went for 42 in the Garden and added 18 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks to that total. A ridiculous Christmas Day performance. I mean, he is running the court, catching and shooting in the corner, fading away into the Knicks bench. That is a ridiculous shot for a 7'4" guy to be out here taking. And then the court vision right here. It tracks every bit of the defense and just dumps it right off to Sohan with all 4 defenders watching. And it's just a beautiful pass to Sohan, who's going to catch and easily lay it in. And then right here, working with Trey Jones, working out of the pick and pop from the logo. Of course, this is before De'Aaron Fox, so Trey Jones is still on the roster. But I mean, he's knocking it down from the K in the Knicks logo. I mean, what is Cat supposed to do? I don't think Cat knows what he's supposed to do, because he's pulling up from the MSG logo. And then that is literally an alien-like thing right there. Going up and grabbing it with one hand with that 8-foot wingspan, getting to his spot in the middle of the floor. Josh Hart has absolutely no chance to even contest this shot. And then the passing, I mean, he's got that as well. Finds Vassell cutting back door for the dunk, and then finds Sohan right here, leaves it for him for the lob as he's cutting out of the corner. Beautiful. Victor Wembanyama, I think, is going to establish himself as a top 5 player in the league this year, and that's not even that bold of a statement. He's also got De'Aaron Fox, who was injured last year. In his last full healthy season, he averaged 26.5 points a game, 5.6 assists, 4.6 rebounds, on 47% shooting from the field, 37% from 3. People forget how good De'Aaron Fox is, and he's still in his prime. Just 28 years old, about to enter the peak years of his career, and of course had the finger injury last year, so he wasn't able to play up to his full potential. De'Aaron Fox is going to shock some people this year, and I really think the Spurs could be a top 6 seed in the West, and that's a loaded West, so that's a great statement. They bring in Kelly Olynyk as well, who will be 34, but he's a very nice veteran to have behind Wembanyama. He's 6'11" with a 6'10" wingspan, so negative wingspan, not the greatest defender in the world, but he has a very, very wide skill set offensively. Can pull up, I mean, pulling up off the bounce right there from 3, cutting right here, getting into a little fadeaway mid-range, knocking it down. That's a clutch shot too, to cut it to 3 late in the game. 10.7 a game with 6 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and a steal in 25 minutes. Shot 50% from the field and 39% from 3 on 2 attempts per game. Coming off the screen right here and knocking down the 3 ball. He can do a lot of stuff for this Spurs team, the passing as well. That's why he's going to bring in a lot of new skill set to this team, because he can come off the bench and actually provide a boost at the backup center spot. Same thing with Luke Cornett. They really go out and bring in a couple of good backup centers, although Kelly Olynyk can play the 4. You see the trade package there. They didn't give up a lot, and they're able to bring in a very, very versatile, very serviceable backup 4/5, and then Cornett at the backup 5, 4 years, $41 million. I think that's a pretty solid deal for a guy of Luke Cornett's caliber. $10 million in the modern NBA it's not that much anymore. Yes, he only averaged 6 points a game and 5.3 rebounds in a block in 18 minutes, but look at the advanced stats, look at the per 36 numbers. He was really good, especially in the playoffs when he was asked to step up. He also, back in 2018-19, shot 35% from 3 on 4.2 attempts, so that's something to take into account. Maybe he's still got a little bit of that floor stretching ability in the arsenal. Per 36, he averaged almost 12 a game with about 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks, and he's a guy that stands at 7'2" with a 7'6" wingspan, so between him and Wembenyama, that's a whole lot of length down in the paint. 1-2. Vic comes out. Now you got to deal with Luke Kornet, who is also an absolute giant down low. Then I love what they did in the draft. Dylan Harper is fantastic. Of course, coming out of Rutgers, would be the #1 overall pick in a lot of drafts. But there's a guy named Cooper Flagg that also went to a team in Texas. 19.4 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 48% shooting from the field, 33% from 3 last year at Rutgers. And he is so elite out of the pick and roll. Really reminds me a lot of Cade Cunningham, like I said earlier. He's 6'6" with a 215-pound frame, which is why he gets those comparisons to a guy like Cade, who Cade should be, stepping into a role as a top 5 point guard in the league next year. Hopefully you see a similar path for Dylan Harper. And yes, they have 3 guards already now with Harper, Castle, and Fox, but I'm glad the Spurs didn't overthink this. Dylan Harper was clearly the pick at #2. They're able to go out and get him and pair him with Carter Bryant, who is my favorite pick of this draft, regardless of team. Getting Carter Bryant at 14, I think that might be the best value overall in this class, except for maybe Rasheer Fleming at 31. That's the only one that I could see. All right, you got a little bit more value, but 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. You see the film that he puts on the table defensively, a shot blocker above the rim. I know that's Akron, but hey, 6.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, a steal, a block, and an assist. Yes, that might not be very impressive, but he only played 19 minutes a game last year as a true freshman. He was a 5-star recruit coming in, shot 46% from the field, 37% from 3 on 2.7 attempts per game, and in conference play, shot 48% from the field and 40% from 3 on 3 attempts a night. Per 36, he averaged 14 a game with 6.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals, and the dude was just a monster. This is what really intrigues scouts right here. Jab step, 1 dribble, pull up. At 6'8", that is very difficult to teach, and the fact that he comes into the league having that skill set makes him even more scary right there. Being able to navigate pick and rolls as well, and this is just an amazing play. Going up and getting the deflection and then being able to save it and bounce to himself up top for the lob. Carter Bryant, really excited to see what he brings to the table this year. This is what I think the starters will look like for the Spurs with Fox, Castle, Vassell, Barnes, and Wemby. That's a really solid starting lineup. Yes, you don't make any changes, but everybody has another year of development. Harrison Barnes, yes, I do think he starts 43% from 3 on 4.4 attempts a game, knocking it down in the corner on the wing. He's just a great role player to have a good veteran with this somewhat young lineup. And then you get to the bench unit with Dylan Harper, Champagnie, Carter Bryant, Sohan, and Luke Kornet. A really strong bench unit. Maybe we see Keldon Johnson start off the year at the backup 3 instead of Carter Bryant as they want to develop him. And then they also have Kelly Olynyk. They go 12 deep. We haven't even talked about the reigning Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, who might be the best defender on this team other than Victor Wembenyama, who's a shoe-in to win the next 10 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Castle averaged 14.7 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, shot 43% from the field and 29% from 3 on 4 attempts. That's the only thing that worries me about this guard 3-headed monster, is that they can't shoot the 3 ball. Although Harper could show some signs of improvement, and then Fox is a career about 36% shooter from 3. 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan, 215-pound frame, and that's how he's one of the best defenders in the league. He is just a monster physically, can also get downhill and score with the best of them. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.